added to right at the end by another storming finish from Hamza Choudhury. Jerry Taggart, have you ever seen Leicester City win as comfortably as this in the Premier League?
Probably not. It's been an absolute controlled, dominant performance, as you say, from the first whistle. And early on in the game, you could see Leicester just probing, causing Newcastle problems. It was only a matter of time before they scored. But the form and the momentum they've had this season, Newcastle, were under pressure, and you could see Leicester scoring quite easily. And that was the case. The game was over effectively at half-time, or just after half-time. The Newcastle went down to 10 men. And Hamza Choudhury just capped what you have to say is probably the easiest, cleanest passing performance of the season, with an absolute wonder strike. And the Leicester City bandwagon rolls on.
It does. They go over to the Leasy stand, look up high into the gods and applaud the travelling fans. Man of the match, Don, Jerry?
Yeah, well, there's a few contenders for me. Wilfred Ndidi, I thought, was imperious again. James Maddison, obviously with his goal. But I think for me, with the way the game panned out and the way Brendan Rodgers wanted to play the game, I think the person who got the ball rolling more than anybody, especially in that first half, was Yuri Tillemans. So I'm going to give it to Yuri Tillemans, just for the way his thought process throughout the game has been absolutely exceptional.
Well, off come the Leicester players in front of us, big beaming smiles, all of them. New year, same old Leicester City, winning away in the Premier League. Brendan Rodgers applauds the travelling fans. What a day, what a start to 2020. Full-time score here at St James's Park. Newcastle 0, a rampant Leicester City 3.
Thanks, Chris. More from Jerry Taggart to come. Also the thoughts of Matt Elliott and Steve Walsh on the way. But let's take a look at what else has happened in the Premier League today. The early kickoffs. Let's start at Brighton. It was Brighton 1, Chelsea 1. Azpilicueta for Chelsea. Jahanbakhsh equalising for Brighton. Burnley 1, Aston Villa 2. Wesley and Grealish for Villa. And a consolation goal from Wood for Burnley. Full time at St Mary's. Southampton 1. Tottenham Hotspur 0. Danny Ings with the goal there, and into the final stages of added time at Vicarage Road, where it's Watford, 10-man Watford 2, Wolves 1. That's how it is at the moment. For Leicester, it couldn't have gone much better in this afternoon's games. We'll talk more about that and the implications of it, but right now, Leicester have that 14-point gap that we spoke about earlier on Manchester United in 5th place. Leicester remains second in the Premier League, doing things in convincing style as well, beating Newcastle 3-0. Steve Walsh, walk in the park at times.
Yeah, what a great start to the new year. Did the job professionally. Damage was done in the first half. It looked to me, like we said, Newcastle were in disarray, and Steve Bruce has come out and tactically, his thoughts obviously were just to contain Leicester, to keep it down to 2-0 if they could. They had a good go at it. They were unlucky going down to 10 men, but in the end, it was a training keep ball session for Leicester, and a domination of that game. And like you say, it's a great 3 points when you look at it in the context of the results today so far. And just another masterclass.
2 wins as well without their talisman, Matt Elliott.
Yeah, exactly. It's happened before, even in seasons gone by. There was widespread panic. I remember in the title-winning season when Vardy was missing for a game or two, and everyone thought it's going to come off the rails. And Leicester got, I can't remember, it was against Swansea, I think, and who the other team was, they got the result anyway. Ulloa came to the fore, and it's happened numerous times since. People do have short memories. Yes, he's a massive part, Vardy, but what a confidence builder it is when they go 2 league games, you say there, with, scoring goals at the same time and picking up 6 points without their main marksman. That just breeds extra confidence again, doesn't it? The development of the squad, the knowledge that they can compete without Jamie Vardy. And great news all round, as Walshy says. Wonderful start to the new year.
Full time at Vicarage Road, Watford have beaten Wolves by 2-1, despite having Cabaselli sent off with 20 minutes left to go. Delafeu and Decore for Watford, Neto with the response for Wolves. The later kickoffs, Manchester City and Everton, they get underway at 5:30, as do Norwich and Crystal Palace and West Ham and Bournemouth. And then at 8 o'clock tonight, it's Arsenal against Manchester United. Ian's been in touch saying great squad management by Rodgers. Poor Newcastle didn't have a chance with players dropping like flies. Joel says fantastic win, commanding performance and 2 stunning goals. Richard says the smile on Hamza's face says it all. Happy New Year, Foxes fans. Graham's got a good point here as well. With Kane and, for example, 4 of the Newcastle team getting injured because Harry Kane was substituted during Tottenham's defeat at Southampton. He says Brendan's decision to rest certain players looks a wise choice. He's certainly been paid the rewards, Steve.
Yeah, he's certainly playing his cards right at the moment. And, the unexpected sometimes, I was trying to read things myself and I just cannot read into his mind at the moment, the way he's thinking and what he's doing. But he's, like I said before, he's a clever guy. He knows what he's doing. He takes a lot of time and effort and thought in process into everything he does. And you just can't fault him at the minute. You really can't. That performance, that team selection, the way that the substitutes he brought on and changed the game just to, he knew he'd got the game wrapped up. And like I said, it was just a training session in the end, but, we could have run a couple more goals in late on. But yeah, Brendan's got it right in so many ways at the moment. And it's great to see we've got a fresh squad now for the next couple of cup games that we've got coming up. We've got an interesting few games, 6 games coming up, which you can accumulate quite a few points in the league. You'd expect that now, because that's what Leicester fans, there's a real high expectation level, and 2 fantastic finishes. Pleased for Hamza to get that goal. I think again he deserves it for what he's contributed so far this season. 2 definite goals that could be in the goal of the month category, I would say. Well worked moves and great finishes. So all round, it's been a great start to this new year.
Yeah, Rebecca says absolutely brilliant start as you mean to go on, I always say. And Daryl says unbeaten this decade. Way to go. Absolutely. And never really looked in doubt ever after Ayoze Perez put Leicester in the lead. Or you could say you were pretty sure it was coming at any point, Matt.
Even before that, yeah. I mean, the only scare they had was when Jolinton was played through by Shelvey. Bit of a risk take, a bit of a lapse of concentration between Evans and Soyuncu. Gambled on the offside, and even then he didn't look convincing, did he? When Jolinton was through and Soyuncu nearly got back, Schmeichel did enough with a decent block. That aside, Newcastle didn't feature at all, did they, in an attacking sense? Not from memory, and certainly not in the second half. And that's as comprehensive a victory as you're going to see in the Premier League. And with that, I'd probably include the 9-0 against Southampton. This was just as one-sided, really. Not in terms of the avalanche of goals, obviously, but in terms of superiority. Streets ahead.
77% possession we were looking at. I think you said, Lewis, when you look at that. And
away from home.
And don't forget, they did go down to 10 men, but it was still 72 possession before they went down to 10 men. So, I mean, let's have a look at it. That was total domination. Shaw's gone off injured, and, it was just a real dominating performance. And back to that kind of that sharpness and really well-drilled, well-organised team that we know.
There'd be an inquiry from Newcastle's point of view, though, wouldn't there, about these injuries that they suffered. Yeah. I mean, it just all unravelled for them, didn't it, as the game went on. But you have to say, they got what they deserved, really, because irrespective of the injuries, OK, of course they don't help. And there was a feeling of negativity, and all through the second half, well, basically from half time, they'd thrown the towel in, hadn't they? But to stay in a back five when you've got 10 men, it's just conceding the game's over. But even in the start of the game, wasn't it, at home, it was a proper five at the back, 5-3-2. There wasn't really much adventure from the wing backs, was there, getting forward? And you're at home, and I thought they'd moved on a little bit from that. It seems very quick, Steve Bruce, to go back to being solid first and foremost, which, experience through the years, etc. But you could see, when you're playing football like that, you could see yourself going on a downward spiral very quickly if you're playing negatively from the start. You're not giving yourself much sort of encouragement, are you? But anyway, never mind Newcastle. Leicester were back on song today, properly.
Yeah, we will hear from Ayoze Perez, and Hamza Choudhury can talk us through that goal very soon here on LCFC Radio. Lots of people getting in touch. We'll get through as many of your messages as possible. But let's bring Jerry back in from St James's Park. I was about to say it all sounds pretty quiet there very quickly, but actually much of the afternoon has been like that, even when the game was in play, Jerry.
Yeah, I thought you'd forgotten about me, lads. I was nearly nodding off again there.
You've done well to talk through that second half, Tags, before you give you a breather, mate.
Seriously. But yeah, again, I don't think, it was mentioned, I don't think Leicester will have an easier game, but it was easy from the beginning. Obviously they just had to make sure that they did things correctly as a defensive unit in the first half, because there's only that one Joe Linton half chance you could have said that was worrying them. But other than that, in complete control of the game. I think Newcastle played right into Leicester's hands. They were a lot slicker than I've seen them today, Leicester, with their passing. And that's the reason why I give the MOM to Youri Tielemans, because he was the one that was, at the centre of all the good moves, and everything was being done by one-touch football, and it was just great to see. But Newcastle just played right into Brendan Rodgers' hands there, and Leicester took full advantage.
That's the thing. You can look at the opposition and how they played, but Leicester still had to do their job.
Yeah, well, they did, but Jerry mentions there that Newcastle was so one-paced and gave so much room to Leicester, they could pick them off at will. Maddison was coming deep and picking up the ball and playing it into midfield and then getting it back again. And like I say, from a distance, you could see what was happening. You could see the pictures developing as they go along, and Leicester were just going through the motions, going through those levels, really. But Newcastle were always a step behind. They were reacting to what's just happened rather than reading it and trying to preempt it, and it was far too easy. It's bordering on embarrassing, really. That's a Premier League performance.
But it shows you the vast difference in the quality in the squads, doesn't it, today?
Yeah. But you think they'd be able to make a better fist of it than that, wouldn't you?
I'd love to know how much that Joe Linton cost from Hoffenheim, because I've seen a couple of centre forwards this season, and you just think, where do they pluck these fellas from? And you think in the modern era, the game gets better, the players get better, but it's not what I've seen today, lads. I have to be honest with you.
I think I can hear Trevor Benjamin pickling his elbows in vinegar as we speak.
Yeah. Well, that just shows you
ready to make a comeback.
Yeah. Not only is the squad vastly better, but it's the recruitment side of it as well. He's clever from Leicester. We signed good players and quality players, and they're carefully thought. You look at Steve Bruce. He was a bit negative, a bit defeated, really, the way that Newcastle performed in that second half. Now, no wonder there was a lot of boos in the end. I know there was quite a few for Choudhury, obviously, because of the Ritchie injury. But after the game, you saw them clear the stands that quickly. That was just not good enough from Newcastle. So, but Leicester did they did a job on them. They made them surrender, and that's what they're good at. And
every player they booed scored. Well,
that's right.
They give Maddison a bit of stick for going down too easy.
Yeah.
Goal, Choudhury, Perez.
Absolutely. And Tags, I disagree with the man of match, but we've all entitled to our own opinion. I had Ndidi, which you did mention him. It was a close one between him.
It was definitely. I just thought with the way Leicester were playing, and the way Brendan wanted them to play. I think indeed Tielemans was a key element in that, but I could have very easily given it to Ndidi. I thought he was immense today.
James says, a thoroughly professional performance by the Foxes this afternoon for another assertive away victory. Steve says, 3 centre-backs suited, comfy win, chuffed for Choudhury, and Saran also echoing those sentiments. Really pleased for Choudhury, and so lovely to see how pleased the whole team were for him. The one thing, Jerry, is he didn't really know how to celebrate a goal, did he?
Well, the funniest reaction was Christian Fuchs. He just turned around, looked at the bench, and put his head, his hands on his head, as if to say, "What's just happened?" You know, Hamza's just curled one into the top bins, and it was like, and then Brendan turned around to the bench, and he had a big grin, like a surprise grin on his face when he seen it. So, but
I wonder what he said when he went over to him right at the end of the game. You see him covering his mouth, Brendan, when he was speaking to him. They both started laughing.
I know,
so,
but no, listen, fair play to Hamza. You know, he came in against West Ham. I thought he did excellent against West Ham, and that's just reward for coming in and then having to sit it out today. He's come on, he's got on with it, and you know his chances come, and he's taken it with both hands. So. And it's a great finish.
And we've said it many times this season already, but you have to really give Brendan Rodgers a lot of praise for man management, because when you've got a large squad, which Leicester City now do have, many options, players are going to get down and frustrated when they're not in the squad, but when they are given that chance, they're taking it straight away and not showing any signs of that frustration.
Yeah, listen, when things are going well, it's easier, isn't it? Because people have got less complaints, and he's trying when he can to give people game time, especially when he feels the time's right, and he's done that to great effect, hasn't he? But Leicester, all the players want to be part of the project that there is going forward, and they're ahead of schedule at the moment, so there's not really much to complain about, is there? You know, no one can have any genuine gripes about how they're being treated. You know, I would say of all of them, Mark Albrighton is probably the unluckiest in terms of the lack of game time he gets. Came in and did superbly, didn't he, against West Ham? You can see the reasons why he is on the edges of it, but when he comes in, always does a job. But you don't hear a thing, do you? Ultimate pro, and that's a good example for the younger boys as well. They'll take that on board and realise, it is an individual game within a team framework, yes, but the team comes first, and Brendan's very keen to impress that, isn't he?
I think they're all keen. All of them on that bench, even, and the squad as a whole, they're all very happy. There's no one.
They have a genuine spirit.
They have, and that's good to see. Brendan's played a lot of different formations, because that's the game now, isn't it? You've got it's like a game of chess, in effect, by looking at teams, analysing what systems you need to play now. There's no traditional 4-4-2s. Not many times do you see that anymore, because you play 3 at the back, 3-5-2, 4-2-1-2-3, whatever. It's unbelievable the formations that you can play. We started with 4-3-3, and now look what we're playing. So it's testimony to that thought process from a clever manager.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also shows how on board everyone is, Jerry. The fact that within a short space of time, you can change personnel, you can change formations, but you can get into the groove of it so quickly.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably one of the biggest ones. The lads will tell you, we were all centre halves, and when you're settled in a system and it's going well, then the last thing you want is the manager to come in and change it. But he's done that on a couple of occasions, and it's worked seamlessly. So again, you have to give Brendan credit. Going back, to the previous, was one of the hardest things for a manager to do is keep the players who aren't playing happy. But somehow he's managing to do that. He's rotated the squad when he's had to, and he's still achieving the same results. And yes, we have got a good squad, but it's the dynamic of that dressing room. If you keep the dressing room happy, you have a good dressing room, then everybody's pulling in the same direction. And that's exactly what's happening now. It only takes one bad egg to ruin a dressing room. But at the minute, everything is just going along seamlessly. On and off the pitch is fantastic.
Neil says, could and should have been more goals, but any win is a good win. Just need to maintain consistency, and Europe should be a cert. Now for the cup matches, great chance of silverware. I'm sure we're going to come on to those next fixtures for Leicester City very soon. John says, Brendan's been in for a small amount of time, yet we're second in the table. It was a big ask in a busy period to beat Man City and Liverpool. Well done, boys. We can only get even better. And John also says, I used to watch you boys too. Tags Elliot and Walshy, my childhood heroes. Good to hear from you, John, and thank you for getting in touch. It's been a brilliant day for Leicester City, a wonderful start to the new year. Here's what happened at St James's Park.
Welcome to St James's Park as 2020 gets underway on a sparkling winter's afternoon, and James Maddison is going to swing this in first of the encounter. It's a really good ball, and it's Evans' header, saved first time. Evans gets up and it's saved again by Martin Dubravka. What a chance for Leicester to take the lead inside 3 minutes. It's a lovely touch from Perez to release Chilwell. Chilwell towards the edge of the penalty area, crosses. Actually, it was a cross-come shot, and Dubravka had to beat that away. For the second time, Martin Dubravka comes to Newcastle's rescue inside the opening 11 minutes. Shelby, it's a nice pass to just invite Fabian Schär forward, and he might take on the shot from 30 yards. He does. Kasper Schmeichel dives on it, and that is Newcastle's first attempt on target. Tried to roll it through to Iheanacho. Shelby, that's a long ball. Joe Linton, flag has stayed down. He's in on goal here. Sonchu gets back. Joe Linton lifts it over Kasper Schmeichel. It doesn't go in, and then he ends up heading it back straight to Schmeichel. Wow. I think we would have had a VAR check for offside, but Joel Linton didn't take the chance. In the summer, given away terribly by Newcastle to Perez inside the box, skips beyond one and scores! The former Newcastle hero nets against them at St James's Park. He's been booed throughout, but right now he's got the last laugh. Newcastle have given it away again, and here's Maddison, left-footed on the edge of the box. It's an absolute screamer. Oh my words! James Maddison sets off in 2020, just as he was playing in 2019. It's a wonder strike with his weaker foot. There goes the half-time whistle. Perfect start to the new year so far. Listen to those boos. They are not from the Leicester City supporters. Perez onto Maddison, 25 yards out, left-footed, goes for goal again, and Dubravka makes a save. Oh, James Maddison's been practicing with his left foot all right. He's almost scored another cracker. Newcastle want handball. Tielemans releases Perez up over halfway. He could be in here. He's got Iheanacho to his right-hand side. He feeds it to Iheanacho onto his left foot. Saved by Dubravka, and then Perez is denied by Dubravka again. Oh, that could so easily have been 3-0. And Ayoze Perez and Iheanacho can't quite believe it's not. Forward to Perez, now Damari Gray. Skips beyond a couple inside the box, rolls it back to Ndidi. Now Hamza Choudhury shoots! Oh, it's another wonder goal! Hamza Choudhury spectacularly makes it 3. It's a golden start to the new year and the new decade for Leicester City. And Leicester City start 2020 in the best possible manner. 3 more Premier League points, 3 more goals, 1 more clean sheet, and another very, very good away day.
Every step of Leicester City's Premier League campaign. You're listening to LCFC Radio.
Still sounds so good, doesn't it? Big win for Leicester City. They're now 14 points clear of 5th place in the Premier League. You mentioned it at half-time. You were brave enough to say it, Matt, because sometimes when you say these things, they do backfire. But that's just an incredible place to be as we do now enter the brand new year. And now, as Walshy said earlier, it's really going to fly the season now.
No, exactly. I mean, Man United's still to play, of course. But when everyone's on level pegging Liverpool aside in terms of games played, that's the way it stands. So minimum 11 points clear at the end of proceedings today. So it's some achievement. And Steve, we were talking before the game. Well, she mentioned it. Leicester, incredible, really. Leicester have lost 2 comprehensively, drawn against Norwich, and they're still where they are in the league, second, not only second, but they're by a distance from 5th place at least, and then okay, it's a little bit closer to Man City, Chelsea, but yeah, you could say they've had their bad run, they've had their blip. It's every team has one, and they've come out of that already with two contrasting but equally impressive performances. And you expect them to go on.
It's
continue that vein,
five wins to catch us at the minute.
Exactly.
You know, when you look at it, and that's for us to lose 5 games as well. When you look at the fixtures coming up, which we will do,
and they're all going to take
later.
points off each other as well,
Absolutely.
aren't they? It's not like Man U are going to go and win the next 15.
Yeah, and again, our goal difference is boosted again with 3 goals. So you look at obviously Man City, Liverpool's goal difference is better than ours, but you look at Chelsea's, Man U, they're miles away from goal difference. So if it came down to it, you're going to be in there on goal difference as well.
Jerry, of course, you picked out a few standout performances today. One man who maybe didn't stand out for the whole game, but it would have done his confidence world good, is Ayoze Perez today, going back to his old club, being booed from the first minute, but making sure that he made his mark when he could.
No, I thought he had a good game today, Ayoze. And slowly but surely, we can see that improvement. Everybody knows what a quality player he is. But he's just been a little bit, I don't know, sort of isolated out in his zone on this right-hand side. But as soon as you put him through the middle, he's come into his zone. He did it with 2 assists against West Ham. And today, he's got his goal. So again, that will do him the world of good. And again, a more than capable replacement if Brendan wants to utilise him in that position. He's got so many strings to his bow now, Brendan, as far as forward positions are concerned, whereas before we were talking about if they lose Vardy they'd struggle, but they've shown Iheanacho and Perez have shown that they can come in and they can score goals, create, even without Jamie Vardy.
Well, you mentioned Brendan Rodgers. We can head back to the tunnel area at St James's Park, where we can hear from the Leicester City manager.
Brendan, 3 goals, 3 points, a fantastic afternoon.
Yeah, we played very well. I think in both halves it was a good demonstration of our idea of the game. First half pressed the game really well, forced mistakes, and then we end up scoring 2 very good goals. Ayo was great interception and then great bit of skill in the box to get his finish. And then the second one comes from, again, that aggressive press on the side of the pitch, and we win it and end up scoring a brilliant goal through James. So yeah, played very well in the first half, good speed in the game, and we attacked the game without the ball as well, which was important. Second half was just a bit more of the same, really. Unfortunately for them, they lose a player. And then I was particularly pleased then with the idea of our game, because you've got to be patient, but keep the ball moving, tire them out, and we did that without giving any chance whatsoever away. So counter-pressed the game really well, positioning was good on the pitch, and then eventually after a long period of possession, we end up with a shot from Hamza, and everyone, as you see, was so delighted for him.
That was a fantastic moment, wasn't it, for Hamza?
Yeah, no, it's a special moment for him. His first goal for the club, to have come through the system here. Been out on loan, been involved with the first team. He's getting better in his football. That's something that he knows I want him to improve on, but he's comfort with the ball because he can play. He's having that confidence to take it more. And also, if you're playing in an 8, you've got to get up there and look to score goals. And he showed today his technique. It was a wonderful finish and right in front of the supporters. So yeah, really, really special moment for him.
How pleased have you been with the whole squad in these last 4 days?
Yeah, delighted. I think we had the strategy going into the game. We knew it was 2 really tough games for us, and we made the changes against West Ham to keep intensity and attitude in the game. And then obviously coming into this game away from home, equally like West Ham away at Newcastle, they're tough games. But we needed the freshness, we needed the energy, and I tried to just show my trust in the squad and how we work. And over the course of the 2 performances, the players have been absolutely brilliant. So delighted for them, and delighted for that attitude and mentality they've put in over this period, which is so important.
Just finally, a change in competition now, that Wigan game at the weekend. Are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, very much so. Again, all you can ask for is being at home. A tough game for us against Wigan. You know, they'll come and relish playing against a Premier League team. But we're at home. We want to get into the next round. So again, we'll pick a team that we think can do that.
Leicester manager Brendan Rodgers talking to Dan Bates there. A couple of points from him. They put the aggressive pressure on. He used that patience word again, and also about the strategy they've used to get through this busy fixture congestion period and come out the other side, still sitting second in the Premier League. Every time he speaks, Tags, he impresses you more.
Man's a genius. Simple as that.
Brilliant.
Tell Jerry wants to get in
Tags
the road.
wants to get home, doesn't he?
We said we'd let him go after he talks about this.
No, okay, yeah, no, absolutely, and that's, you know, I've spoken to Brendan on a few occasions, and you know, I spoke to him about the even like we haven't even spoken about the substitutes that he makes, and when they come on, invariably they make a positive impact, whether that's defensively or attacking. We've seen another one today with Hamza, and so it just shows you that, you know, the homework that he does before every game, on occasions 2 or 3 games in front, utilising the squad, West Ham, and then here. So, you know, and what you're seeing is the results out on the pitch. But that's all the hard work that goes in a darkened room between him and the rest of his staff to make sure that the preparation is completely spot on for each and every game. And, you know, he's blessed with a young, hungry squad. And I think there's going to be more to come. You know, I think that there's some aspects of the game that he's not 100% happy with. And you may well, you know, see things change in the recent future, in the near future. But at the minute, you've got to say, every time he makes a decision or he picks a team, he can't do any wrong at the minute. Genius.
Brilliant stuff. Jerry Taggart, thank you so much for your time and safe trip home.
Thank you.
All the best, Tags.
Geraldo.
There we go. Really interesting. Also, Brendan Rodgers talking there about Hamza Choudhury and just saying how he's challenged him, because everyone thinks Hamza Choudhury, tough tackling midfielder, defensive focused, and Brendan Rodgers said, well, no, if you're going to play number 8, you've got to go and get forward, you've got to go and get amongst the goals as well. So just every player, he seems to just be given little targets, so they've got their own things they're working on.
Develop your game, exactly. You know, as a player, all rounder. You could tell he liked Hamza in pre-season, just the times that he played him, but also how he spoke about him. And, you know, I don't think there are any real qualms about putting Hamza in there if indeed he was suspended, injured or whatever, to stick him in that defensive role. But the likelihood is that Wilfred will not miss many games, hopefully. And Hamza might have to adapt himself if he wanted to find a way into the team stroke squad, because you know, he's still on the edges of it a little bit, because sometimes he doesn't even feature in the squad itself, but he's becoming a vital member, and scoring a goal like that today will do him no harm whatsoever, even though I think it was the wrong application of technique, to be honest. I think it was all set like, to hit it, especially Hamza, not renowned for his accuracy of finishing in the ilk of James Maddison, but as he went to hit it, I was like, oh, Hamza, you should have just struck that one. And well played, sir. But he has got that. He has got that. You just don't see enough of it, really. But Brendan obviously realises that he's got, you know, more in his locker there that can be developed and come out. If he starts expressing himself that little bit more, he's that little bit more confident, because he does a job first and foremost, but he's got more about him than just being an enforcer.
Emma says, great win today. It was fab to see Hamza get on the score sheet. Great tactics by Rodgers, making the left side more tight and secure. Sally says, Happy New Year, Foxes. Thrilled with our win. And Junior says, very happy to see the team playing like this. Mick says, dominated completely. Happy New Year, Foxes. A happy New Year for Leicester City. Not the greatest start to 2020 for Newcastle United. Let's hear from their boss, Steve Bruce.
Well, I don't think I've been involved. I think I've been involved in the game something like 40 years. I don't think what with gifting them the first 2 goals, and then we've lost 4 players in 20 minutes, which obviously is disappointing, because it's game over then, you know. I mean, we're manful in the second half, but we're playing with 10 men again against them, and it was a difficult afternoon for everybody concerned. one of them crazy ones which you have to just try and analyse and recover from it.
After today's game, and clearly not happy, and also saying first time in 40 years he's had a game quite like that. Steve,
do you know what? He sounded defeated at half time. From what he's saying there, that he'd given up on the game. You never give up. It doesn't matter how many players go down. You've got to, your team will copy that. For me, he just gave. It was a surrender kind of game for him, and it didn't need to be. But all fair play to Leicester with the game management, the way that Brendan's set his team out, and the way that they keep going for 90 minutes. Because seeing games through as well, it's not an easy thing to do sometimes. It's a lot of tired players, and Leicester really, ruthless in that sense of finishing games off and getting through, and they seem stronger in a lot of second half than a lot of the Premiership teams that we see. So it's really encouraging from our point of view. But I thought Brucey, he could have been a little bit more positive in how they've played.
From the start.
Not in the tactically and what he's done. I just think he's been outclassed by a different class of players and manager.
Yeah, Newcastle 12th in the Premier League, but where they sit in the league, they're as close to Man United in 5th as they are to West Ham in 18th. There's 6 point swing either way.
25 points, is it? Yeah, 19. Yeah.
So.
Oh, they're not out of it. Not out of it at all, I don't think.
It's a strange.
And they're not going to go any higher.
That was where I was going. Which end are they going to?
They're not going to threaten the top end, are they?
You wouldn't think so on a performance like that, but as you say, Steve, what a strange place to be at this stage of the season. It is so close. Three teams on 25 points, 3 teams on 24 points, then a 21 or 20, and then you're at 19s.
But even that, I was just saying, when Steve Bruce is saying there, and he's feeling a bit sorry for himself there, and, to an extent, justifiably, because 4 injuries, but he wasn't to know the 4th one was going to happen. No. Okay, Shelvey's injured. Why didn't he try it? And he basically conceded at half time. That was it. Stay at 5, 3, 1. We're not going to concede anymore. Goal difference may well account. So, what does that tell you, players? Really, I mean, we've been involved in games, whatever era. Okay, you're 2 goals down, and Leicester were the better team, but it was mistakes. It wasn't like that. Leicester had bombarded them with a hatful of chances, and the keeper was a miracle producer, even though he made a few saves. And why didn't he put one of his attacking substitutes on the bench, or at least swap one of them, or add an extra man? Because he had 3. He had Atsu, Gale, and Carroll. There, it was bizarre seeing them 3 on the bench when 3 substitutions had been made. 2 enforced, I get that. Even the 3rd was enforced, but you could hang on. All right, let's go brave. Let's play back 4. Let's go for it a little bit. Let's have a go.
Yeah, clearly you can see they've not got that big voice on that pitch there. When the going gets tough, they don't seem to have them strong characters, for me, that are needed in a team. Do you understand, Matt? Yeah. And there's some strange things. There was a few injuries in Shaw, and I don't like to say it. They strapped him up on a hamstring injury. And I was thinking, what are they doing? If you've got a hamstring injury, a strapping is that going to really help? I don't think it is. It's a bit of a strange one. And for me, the characters are not really strong enough to deal with when you're up against it, because you have to come out and be warriors and fight, and I don't see that, and that's worrying for a team like that. You'll see, like Nigel Pearson's got Watford going, they will have it, he'll make them fight for everything. And I see it in Southampton a little bit now. They've got a bit more about them, a bit more fight, and you can see it. Them teams will get out of trouble and they'll be all right. But there'll be somebody slides right into, and it could be a Newcastle that drop into that bottom 3 late in the season. It's all right having these points at the minute, which is fortunate they have, but playing like that, and if things don't get better, they've got big games coming up. Who knows?
I'll tell you one thing Leicester have done on a different angle from that is they've reaffirmed to themselves that they are a quality side, because their pride would have taken a little bit of a bash in against Man City and Liverpool, and then perhaps even their belief and touch, I might think, okay, not that we were getting carried away, but maybe we're not as good as people thought we are, or even we thought we are. But they've re-established themselves over the last 2 games with a changed lineup, etc. You know, to be as dominant as they were, not against West Ham, and in particular today at Newcastle, you know, that's the signs of a very good Premier League team. And they're back in their stride again now, aren't they? And
I was disappointed with, you know, Bruce is saying the game was over. When he said that, I just thought that was a little bit, you know, like we said, a defeatist. And I didn't like it's not like him. He's never been like that, you know, and he's actually succumbed to that. But still, you know, it was a ruthless display from Leicester that has punished Newcastle like we did here. So, I mean, you've got to say that Leicester have got something about them, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Dan says the tactical nuance that Rodgers showed today should show all of us this manager is proper top draw. Pauline says, well done. Happy New Year to you all. Carla said, I said 3 goals today. Well done, Leicester. Paul says, Wolves, Spurs and Chelsea all drop points. Makes the result even more sweet. And Zaffa says, total domination. Could have been worse for Newcastle if Leicester did not hit the brakes in the second half. Easy win. And what strikes by Maddison and Choudhury. I'm sure Dan Bates is going to ask him all about that. Let's head down to the tunnel at St James's Park because Dan is with Hamza Choudhury.
Hamza, congratulations. Another fantastic win, that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's always a difficult place to come, St James's Park. But we come here and we showed our professional attitude again and how ruthless we can be when we start well and perform to what we should. And it's a massive 3 points.
And an even bigger congratulations to you. Your first goal for Leicester City. What did that mean?
Yeah, a dream come true, really. I think being here from the age of 7, something you dream of, obviously scoring, especially in front of the away fans at such a place. So yeah, it's a really nice feeling.
What was going through your head?
I don't know, just get good contact. And I feel like as soon as it left my boot, I saw I know it was going in.
It was fair to say you were getting a few jeers as well, but the moment it went in, you pointed straight up to those away fans, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely. I think that our fans are really good and they travel everywhere in full spirit and voice, so it's especially nice to do it in front of them.
How good have these last 4 days been? 2 wins on the road in the Premier League can't be underestimated.
No, definitely. I think after the spell we had, after the back of 2 tough results against 2 very good sides, it was important for us to bounce back and win the games against the teams that are below us. But no, definitely, I think it's so important for us to start building that momentum again and get that winning feeling back. What
was it like playing in that second half? Because it looked so comfortable out there.
Yeah, definitely. But you know, that's the work we've done and hours and minutes we put in the training ground. I think teams can struggle sometimes when you're playing against 10 men, but I feel like the boys controlled it out there for the 90 minutes and we come away with a result.
FA Cup up next. Wigan on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. Another big game. They come thick and fast around this time. So the boys are ready, we're well rested and go again and hopefully win on Saturday.
Early goal at Carrow Road. Norwich have taken the lead against Crystal Palace. Todd Cantwell with the goal there. Norwich 1, Palace 0. Man City 0, Everton 0, and West Ham 0, Bournemouth 0 in those late goals. We'll hear from Ayoze Perez very soon, but just a word on Hamza Choudhury. We've already spoken about him quite a bit, but you can just tell how delighted he is because it must mean so much more when you've built your way up through the system at a club and then to score your first goal for the first team. It must be incredible.
Yeah, as a 7-year-old, he said when he joined Leicester that it's incredible. I'm pleased for him because he is a great kid. Met him a few times and he deserves it. You know, on his play. You know, he when he was introduced into the squad, I thought he's playing really well, and then suddenly he was out of favour and. I thought that was I thought he'd done well enough to keep his role in the team, but he's come back in at any time and he's ready. He's keen, and I think he's predominantly always through his career been a real sit-in midfielder. He really looks to get the ball off the back, off the centre backs, and for me, he came too deep at times, and I think you can see today that Brendan's given him a licence now to start because he's got good young legs. He's fit, he's strong, and he's young, and he's got the power. and he's certainly a promising player come through the Leicester City ranks.
That's true, because when he first came into the first team, you'd often see him drop in behind the back four to pick up the ball, wouldn't you, to distribute from there. Now he's playing a totally different role, and it seems to suit him quite well.
Yeah, you wonder whether that was an intentional ploy, or he'd been instructed to do that initially. But it seemed overly safe, didn't it? He was passing in safe areas, but he's got to do that in a more advanced role, even if he is playing in that holding defensive position. But yeah, he's increasing his intelligence in different aspects, and he's got no better tutor than Brendan Rodgers, who can develop players in all sorts of positions. But yeah, as well as that, it's the confidence as well that he's grown with, and I'm delighted for him. I was involved, said to you before, the academy with Hamza's age group, only on a part-time basis, but Harvey, DJ, Josh Knight, Leighton and Dooku, Admiral, there's a whole host of them in that year. And I got on well with all of them, to be fair, but I always had a little thing for Hamza, just like a little twinkle in his eye, and he's just got something a little bit extra, and he's fearless out there. And his main attribute initially, Steve speaks about his athleticism and his power, and his closing down. Scares the life out of people. He's always in your face. You turn around, he's there like a rash, and when he gets there, you feel he's there as well. He can tackle like not many others, and but on top of that, he can play as well. People sort of don't take much sort of credence of that, but he's nice and simple, and he's developing that game. And we better watch out if he's scoring goals as well, because he's never been known for that one. But it was. I'm doing him a bit of a disservice. He did score a few when he was younger, but that was a hell of a strike. I mean, he's saying I just get good contact, but it had to be. If you're side-footing, it had to be inch perfect, and it was.
It was clever the way that he just slightly put a bit of bend on it, and it was a side-footed shot, but it was guided into that side. There was two men close by him, and he technically. That was a great goal.
Good lad. Even when he was 14, I remember saying to the other coach, like, he'll make a living in the game.
Yeah, he's a bit tarnished.
Definitely, at some level. Didn't necessarily expect him to go in at such a young age, at such a high level, but well done to him.
Yeah, when he played for England and there was that tackle, it was a really bad tackle that could have tarnished him a little bit. The one on Richie was, for me, there was not a lot wrong with that anyway, but you start to get a bit of a name, and that's what he doesn't want. Maybe that's why Brendan just said, let's just cool it now. We'll bring you back in when I'm ready. And he's like I say, there's so many systems and so many players that can play in different positions now. The squad as a whole is very healthy.
Yeah, he certainly experienced a few jeers as well, showing his mental strength today as well. Also, another man who was subjected to the treatment from the Boo Boys was Ayoze Perez on his return to St James's Park, and he has been talking to Dan Bates.
Ayoze, smile on your face. That's another great win, isn't it?
Yeah, great win. A good start of the new year. 3 more points. We keep pushing.
And for you personally, obviously, a goal here. What did that mean to you?
Well, it means a lot. Obviously, back home, it's a special feeling. But to be able to score is a great feeling. But the most important, the win. It's a tough play to come and play, and we did very well.
For you personally, now in the last 4 days, that's 3 assists and a goal as well. Very productive couple of days for you.
Yeah, it's been a great couple of days for myself, feeling better and better, feeling more confident, fitter. That is very important for me. So feeling great, improving the stats and winning. We keep winning. That's the main thing.
From a team point of view, how important was it to bounce back after those 2 defeats?
Well, it was very, very important, It was a tough period, very busy, and we were able to get back, bounce back to winning feeling, and the team is proving we got the hunger and the ambition to keep winning.
As well as your goal, there were 2 other fantastic goals in the game from James Maddison and Hamza Choudhury as well.
Unbelievable, amazing goals. We've been talking about that in the dressing room, having a bit of fun, especially with Hamza's one, But so happy for them. Great goal means a lot to the team, and obviously it means we got great quality as well.
Yeah, it's a fantastic start to the new year, as you said. How much excitement and how much hunger is there in this dressing room at the moment?
Well, it's another busy period, busy month for us, but we got the ambition. We know what we are capable of, and we will keep pushing. We will keep pushing. We are in a great position, and hopefully we can celebrate something special at the end of the year.
Ayoze Perez talking to LCFC Radio's Dan Bates. We've seen flashes of class from Perez. He's got his goal again today. I think the fact that Newcastle fans decided to boo him shows actually they miss him a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Backhanded compliment, isn't it? Listen, I'm the same as most other people. You can see the attributes he's got. You just feel that there's more to come. And can add that sort of consistency to his game, perhaps a bit more dynamism to his game. But he's got some lovely silky touches, clever player, good movement. There are little things where at West Ham, he got the 2 assists. The second one in particular, you think that's the Perez that we know. We're thinking of when he came to the club. And then today, he got himself a goal. Took it well, actually, eventually, although it was slightly fortunate at the end. Stumbled through a little bit with the deflection. But, fair play to him. But then the situation when he was through with Iheanacho, you think, he was screaming out for just play it there, just play it. And he didn't. And for whatever reason, for someone who's got great awareness and intelligence, he didn't. And in the end, he delayed it and the move faltered. But he's a quality player. I just think... maybe he gets frustrated with himself, because I just think that he's got even more to come because he's got class about him.
Steve's old team are coming to the King Power Stadium next for Leicester City. We'll talk more about that after we look at a roundup of today's football.
This is the classified football results check for Wednesday, the 1st of January. Starting with the Premier League. Arsenal versus Manchester United is an 8 o'clock kickoff. Brighton & Hove Albion 1, Chelsea 1, Burnley 1, Aston Villa 2. Manchester City versus Everton is a 5:30 kickoff. Newcastle United 0, Leicester City 3. Norwich City versus Crystal Palace is a 5:30 kickoff. Southampton 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Watford 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. West Ham United versus Bournemouth is a 5:30 kickoff. Sky Bet Championship. Birmingham City 2, Wigan Athletic 3. Bristol City 0, Brentford 4. Fulham 1, Reading 2. Huddersfield Town 2, Stoke City 5. Millwall 3, Luton Town 1. Nottingham Forest 3, Blackburn Rovers 2. Preston North End 0, Middlesbrough 2. Queen's Park Rangers 6, Cardiff City 1. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Hull City 1. West Bromwich Albion versus Leeds United is a 5:15 kickoff. League 1, AFC Wimbledon 1, Southend United 1. Accrington Stanley 1, Rochdale 2. Bolton Wanderers 3, Burton Albion 4. Doncaster Rovers 1, Oxford United 0. Fleetwood Town 1, Sunderland 1. Gillingham 1, Portsmouth 1. Lincoln City 2, Peterborough United 1. Milton Keynes Dons 3, Bristol Rovers 0. Rotherham United 2, Blackpool 1. Tranmere Rovers 1, Coventry City 4. Wycombe Wanderers 1, Ipswich Town 1. League 2, Bradford City 1, Morecambe 0. Cambridge United 2, Mansfield Town 3. Colchester United 1, Crawley Town 1. Crewe Alexandra 4, Carlisle United 1. Forest Green Rovers 0, Exeter City 1. Grimsby Town 1, Salford City 0. Newport County 1, Cheltenham Town 1. Northampton Town 1, Stevenage 0. Oldham Athletic 0, Scunthorpe United 2. Plymouth Argyle 1, Swindon Town 2. Port Vale 2, Macclesfield Town 2. Walsall 1, Leyton Orient 0.
There we go. Some of today's scores. A couple of 5:30s mentioned there. Manchester City 0, Everton 0 is as it stands. Phil Foden has just had a goal disallowed for Manchester City. Norwich lead Palace 1-0. West Ham 0, Bournemouth 0 in David Moyes' return to the London Stadium. And in the Championship, West Brom are beating Leeds 1-0 in that top of the table clash. Also in the Championship today, Wigan beat Birmingham 3-2 to climb off the bottom of the league. But for them, they need to forget about that for a while, because it will be FA Cup time at King Power Stadium next for them and next for Leicester. You must be looking forward to it, Walshy, seeing your old club back.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see them come down. Listen, they had a much-needed win today. I'm looking at the league position. I always follow my old clubs, obviously, and Wigan are right down there at the moment, so they're struggling. Paul Cook, manager, I made my debut with him as well, so he's a good lad. But obviously, the circumstances are they need to stay in the league, and but it's great to have a week off and challenges in the FA Cup. He'll relish coming down here. Hopefully, I can see him. I've got all my family coming down from Preston, so looking forward to it.
Changes for Leicester City?
Who knows what Brendan's going to do? We keep trying to second guess him, and you're like scratching your head. I mean, that was something I was going to mention earlier when you're talking about Brendan and Leicester in general of late. You know, you looked at those changes, and there were people in and around the press room. They were hearing rumours. Oh, this is happening, that's happening. Vardy's not playing, and it was, you know, there was terror in their eyes, of Leicester orientation. And you looked at the team. And initially, you were like, oh, where does that come from? Mendy. Wasn't expecting that one. And then probably that was a point of contest, that decision. But generally, the more you thought about it, the more it made sense. You were like, yeah, you could see that happening actually today. Fresh legs, you know, they're keen, enthusiastic, hungry and all that. And so it's been. And then just in that one big decision, and got a good performance, the result, which obviously helps. You know, that's the end result, end point. But now all of a sudden, there's a much broader picture and broader look to the squad, isn't there? And even than there was before. And you know, looking good, looking in very healthy, as Walshy says.
And if we're talking about us who talk about Leicester all the time, not being able to second guess him, that stands for the opposition as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, you said about the substitutions, didn't it? Walshy thought Tillemans might come off because he got booked. And I think, yeah, that makes sense. But perhaps put Gray on, or Pratt wasn't involved, or hey, Hamza comes on. Oh, right, Brendan, he just really wants to seal this game up, doesn't he? But even then, he goes and scores.
I think the good thing is about him that, you know, towards the comparison of Puel in a way of he knows how to beat a team. You know, the Newport game, just as an example, that was the FA Cup when we went out to Newport. He won't make them mistakes. He will not make the mistakes because he clearly analyses the opposition and he knows what he needs to beat them. Simple as that. And he plays the right balanced team that can get through these games. And there's no doubt, you know, he'll rest a few players. There's no doubt about that for me, anyway. But again, he might surprise us, and he might have a full strength team. But I would guess, you know, he can play.
I'm going to take a wild stab in that. Wilfred will get a rest at the weekend.
Yeah, I agree.
That's as far as that's as outlandish as my predictions.
Johnny Evans, maybe.
Quite possibly.
Might do.
Yeah.
We will see what happens, and we will have it for you here on LCFC Radio, of course. Steve, Matty, thank you.
Happy New Year, everybody. Come on, you foxes.
Yeah, indeed. A very happy New Year for Leicester City. 3 points in their first game of the decade. Not a bad way to start 2020. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you soon.
Given away terribly by Newcastle to Perez inside the box, skips beyond one and scores! The former Newcastle hero nets against them at St James's Park. He's been booed throughout, but right now he's got the last laugh. Newcastle are giving it away again, and here's Maddison left-footed on the edge of the box. It's an absolute screamer! Oh my word! James Maddison sets off in 2020, just as he was playing in 2019. It's a wonder strike with his weaker foot. Forward to Perez, now Damari Gray. Skips beyond the couple inside the box, rolls it back to Ndidi. Now Hamza Choudhury shoots! Oh, it's another wonder goal! Hamza Choudhury! Spectacular it 3. It's a golden start to the new year and the new decade for Leicester City.